Fire service is heavy with stories of tragedy and heroism. One such fire happened on James Street in Utica, Christmas Eve 1989. 2 young children and their blind grandmother died in that fire. 4 children survived. They're adults now, and that night shaped the people they became. Former Fire Chief Brooks oversaw fire operations that night and became part of their lives forever. Now, we pulled some footage from the News Channel 2 archives, but I want to warn you, it is very difficult to watch. This past week, 2 survivors of that fire shared what Chief Brooks means to their family with News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris.
3 people are dead. 4 others were critically injured in a fire early today in Utica.
People still remember and talk about that Christmas Eve fire on James Street in Utica back in 1989. Some tragedies are never forgotten.
Intense, raging flames kept firemen from the 3rd floor, where 7 occupants, 6 young children, all under the age of 6, and their reportedly blind grandmother were trapped.
This was an unspeakable tragedy. 1-year-old Tawana Evans and 6-year-old Shantae Evans and their 58-year-old grandmother, Minnie Sanders, died in the fire. Tanisha Blackshear, then Evans, was only 3 when she was carried out of the burning home. Then Deputy Utica Fire Chief Russell Brooks was overseeing fire operations, also performing life-saving measures and running children to waiting ambulances. Fast forward around 10 years later to St. Peter's Church Fair in Utica. Tanisha, now around 13, was there with her other grandmother. Chief Brooks was there too. Her grandmother knew him immediately.
He told me a story about how they ran in, him and his team, they ran in, grabbed us one by one, laid us out all on the floor, and he got to the ones that he knew for sure that he could save.
The chief's involvement with Tanisha and her family didn't end the night brave Utica firefighters entered a burning home to save them.
He always just been a part of our lives, checking in on us. He would call my grandmother from time to time just to see how we were developing. She also said that he would visit us. I remember I was in like a full lake cast. He would come by the house and visit.
And after those physical wounds healed, the contact didn't end with the seemingly stoic, stern Marine and fire chief.
He always would give me a hug every time you see him. Very heartfelt. No matter where we were at, could have been Price Shop or Walmart. Literally would stop and talk, holding up traffic just to have a conversation.
Chief Brooks was always happy to see Tanisha and her family, but he also carried a big burden all those years.
He did say that he always regretted that he could not save my 2 sisters and my grandmother. Tried, they did everything that they could.
Tanisha's brother, Robert Evans Jr., was only 2 years old when he was saved from the burning home. Years later, he brought a friend home from the basketball court to fix up his bloody nose, and he learned just how connected he was to his patient.
Grandmother's at home, she's on the phone, realizes who he is because he tells her who his dad is, and then after that there was a conversation to be had.
Years later, Evans bought a house near the chief. Now grown and in a position to repay the favor, he paid a visit.
Introduced myself to his wife and just, let him know that I was down the street if there was anything I can do, anything, just to reach out.
In life, some paths cross and some collide and remain intertwined forever. And sometimes an event you don't even remember can shape your life.
I think about that when I do things daily. I'm very fortunate to have a good paying job. So every either month or paycheck, I try to do a good deed with some young child, older people sometimes, but I make that a point because at the end of the day, I'm here on this planet because someone did a good deed or their job or whatever the case may be.
That 13-year-old girl at St. Peter's Fair all those years ago also found a way to thank the man largely responsible for saving her and her family, Robert Jr., Shamika, and Reginald. She handed him one of her most treasured possessions, which she happened to have with her.
So the biggest thing at that time were like Beanie Babies. So I just, I didn't have anything to give him. So the Beanie Baby that I did have, I gave to him.
Nearly 25 years later, that Beanie Baby rested in the casket with Chief Brooks at his calling hours, one of his most prized possessions he'd held onto for all those years.
But I just thought he was just a big giant teddy bear. He spoke softly, very caring, and just, like I said, no matter where I saw him, I saw him at his grandson's baseball game. The baseball game was over and we were still talking. So that's just the kind of guy he was, very loving, very attentive. He was very sweet, and he will be missed.
That's Jolene Ferris reporting, and again, our condolences to the Brooks family.